Hello. It's been a while. It's been long enough that I feel that most of you are at least owed some sort of an explanation as to just kind of what's been going on over here. So as you can tell by the title of this video, what we're going to talk about is that I don't really make music anymore. And I haven't since probably, well, if we're talking about Castle Carousel material, I don't think I've finished anything since like 2017. So we're going to be closing in on a decade here pretty soon. So I guess this is already kind of a foregone conclusion that I don't really make music anymore. I try. I think most of the time I just don't really have the motivation to keep going with it. So I wanted to take a moment here to just kind of answer some questions that I've received over the years and to just kind of open a frank dialogue on this channel because, I don't know, it's just something I've never really done before. So let's get into it. The cassette tapes, they're not done. They're still not done, and it's been 6 years. So what's been going on? Well, as you can tell by these 3 tape machines, and there's 2 others that I've tried that are not sitting here right now. I can't get any of them to work the way I want it to. I can't get a finished tape to sound good. I can't come up with anything that I think is a good end product. I could outsource it, and I don't know why I haven't yet. I guess I'm trying to explore some options in that. So if you're a person who makes tapes, message me. Let's talk about something. Let's see what we can work out, because I still want to be able to deliver tapes to the people who I have been promising for far too long that the tapes are going to be a legitimate product. Let's get into music. I've tried to do a lot of, I'll go through periods of times where I will really heavily go on the sample hunt, and I will pour for hours over trying to come up with something that I think is going to be an aesthetically interesting project, and I just haven't been able to get it to work out in the way that I want it to, or I haven't been able to devote the time that I want it to, and that comes down to the busy life. Having 2 children makes it incredibly difficult to find the time to devote the mental space that I need in order to just kind of get an idea going. Like, the classic Castle Carousel workflow was I would sit in a room for 10 hours and I would be doing nothing for the first like 4 or 5 hours. And it's that doing nothing that really allows the space for ideas to kind of take hold or to catch that divine spark and make something magic happen. And frankly, I just don't have that time anymore. So it does impact my workflow, and I try to change my workflow to fit more around the schedule that I do have, and it's just, I can't do it. I don't like it. It's not the same. It's not how I want to work. It's not how I work. I'm not going to try and force it. Is that to say that's what I want? No, I wish I could get things done to the capacity that I want to get them done. I do have ideas for new material. I do have extensive sample libraries of hours of pulled material that I just haven't been able to turn into what I want. I don't necessarily work in a way of like I find a good sample and then I just run with that and I go. I would like to get a folder of, let's say, 50 to 100 samples that I want to work with. And then I will pour through those and figure out which ones I actually think there's a chance that I can turn into something that I like. And that's a process that just takes time, and it takes unrestricted and undistracted time. And that's just something that I don't have right now. I'm not bemoaning that. It's just reality. Will I get back to it one day? I'd like to hope so. I still try and work on stuff here and there when I can. It's just hard. A real big moment that kind of shifted me away from wanting to be involved in music. I never want to say that my decision was about other people, but I had a period back at the end of 2023 and through pretty much all of 2024 where I was working with a friend, and he has a couple bands. Get out of your brain! Who really gives a shit in the end? Who really gives a shit? It's only you that feels this they wanted me to work on putting, at the time it was just EPs. So with the first band, it was an EP, and I worked on that from early November of 2023 until, I want to say it was May of 2024, putting together their first EP, which then I got removed from the project without even having a conversation. I ended up having to fill in for their first show on drums because the drummer hurt his ankle. And so I turned around and played that show on 2 days' notice. And then they didn't talk to me for several months. And so then I finally reached out and had to be like, hey, what the heck's going on? They said that they didn't want to waste my time anymore due to an event that we had where I was going over to their practice one night. This was about 3 weeks after my second daughter was born. I hadn't been out of the house for anything in that time. And when I finally was able to get there, they were done and they said, we're going to go to a pub and get some food. Well, and then we get there and then they start drinking, and I was pissed. I was pissed because I didn't come over to hang out. I didn't come over to go to a bar. I came over to watch their practice. I came over to hear how the band was progressing as the producer who was working with them at that point in time. And it felt like I wasn't being taken seriously. So I had one of them drive me back to my car, and I said, it's things like this that make me not want to really work on music anymore, or I don't know if I want to. And so they took that as, well, let's not even have a conversation. Let's just cut them off completely. And they have not hung out with me since. A lot of this coincides around the time when I was moving cities. I moved from Kansas City to Wichita, Kansas. I didn't have any friends here, really. Like, I grew up close to Wichita. The friend of mine, we were in a band together when I was 17. So we had, over a decade of history there. So then, said friend decides a few months later that he felt bad about the way everything shook down. So he asked if I was interested in mixing and mastering a record for his other band, which they came over to this room here to do the drum tracking in.
It's a time and a place. Feel it burn inside your chest. Make it ache. Turn another page. What in the world are you scared for? Should you be worried or brace yourself for this and ask for more? Shake it off, you got this. What are you worried about?
And that was in December or January. December of 23 or January of 24. We took 2 days. We laid down the drum tracks, and then at the end of the year, when it came time to, release and put that material out, there was a while where they were wondering if the band was going to stay together. Drummer is the same for both bands, and on the second record, he wasn't sure if he wanted to stay with that band or if he just wanted to devote his time to the first band. So I messaged them and I said, well, are you really going to let this die? Because if that's the case, at least let me come in and try and, have a rehearsal on drums and just to see if there's something there. So there was that. None of that ever matriculated into anything. I spent weeks learning those songs. So here's the thing. They asked me if I wanted to try and learn the songs for drums. So I spent weeks learning the songs for drums. Never even came in to work it out. The drummer never left. They needed a second guitarist. They asked if I would be interested in learning the songs to, try and jam out for second guitar. Again, I spent weeks learning that. Never even got brought in to run over any of the tracks with the guitarist. The first band was having issues with their bass player being able to learn the parts. around the time of their first couple shows. So they asked me to learn the bass parts in case if I might need to come in and help with that. Again, nothing happened there. Between these two bands with a lot of the same people, I was made promise after promise after promise after promise to have some sort of involvement, or that I played a part in helping them get started. And in every one of those instances, it was just kind of rug pulled out. Oh yeah, we don't really need that. Sorry. Not even sorry. If they would have said sorry, that would have been different, but there was no sorry. There was no conversation. I'm really holding back from naming them by name in this video because I'm still very mad at them. Partially because the first band had to put out their big Christmas announcement where they thanked everyone who helped them get to this point as a band, and I noticed that they had unfollowed me in the last 24 hours. So since they put out this post, they had unfollowed me. And I know that that's not a reason to get upset, and it's a very modern, oh, well, they unfollowed me. It's the way that it went, that they were thanking everyone who helped get them there, and then they cut me off in that same day. Yeah, fuck you. You're one of the main reasons that I don't work on music anymore, because you couldn't just have adult conversations with me. I spent a lot of time on those records. That first record especially, I was working on it at a time when I got laid off from my first job, and I was just about to have a kid, and, well, second kid. That was the only thing that I worked on during that time. I had a job that I was starting in April, so I got laid off in, a week before Christmas, 2023, and then I had a new job lined up that started in April. And the only thing that I worked on during that time, outside of, welcoming my second daughter, was that EP. And to get shelved without even having a conversation sucked. And they act like they were off put too, but they still got exactly what they wanted. The only one who got left out in any of this was me. And I still hold on to a lot of resentment about that. It honestly makes it very difficult for me to try and work on any music, because I feel like I'm only working on it to spite them. And that's not a healthy mentality to come into making music with. Coming along to the second band, I spend, again, months working on getting this. It was originally going to be 2 EPs, working on the process for these 2 EPs. They got to a point where they started shopping that around to a record label. They got picked up, and then they go to one of their label's in-house guys for the mixing and mastering, which, again, it's their prerogative. It's the way that there was no conversation, or they promised me that I was still going to get an engineering credit on the record. Yeah, that didn't happen. Long story short of it is I kind of lost the desire to make music because local bands wasted my time. Early on in my career, I kind of went through this big back and forth where it was like I was known for the future funk stuff. Well, I had other material that I was working on, which you can see, the Mild Computer album. And I think that kind of derailed a lot of momentum, especially in the SoundCloud days that I had going with Castle Carousel, because it was too different genre-wise. And so that kind of alienated a lot of fans, or not alienated, but people just didn't care about it. And so then it kind of made me feel like, well, what's the point? People only care about me doing this sampled material. They don't care about any of the stuff that I actually made entirely on my own. I know that that's not a reason to stop, but it kind of made me resentful of the future funk stuff for a while, because it's just sampled material. It's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy listening to the genre. And at the same time, I don't denigrate or think down on the producers within the genre who I do enjoy. I don't view what they do as lazy or anything, but yet I was applying this metric to myself. That leads us into the next point, which is just long-standing depression. I can't really remember a time in my conscious life where I was not depressed. It has been a lifelong treatment-resistant sort of depression, and I'll have months or years where I won't talk to people. If I were to look at my messages on my phone right now, I think there's something like 30, and I would say 8 of them are people who I consider to be very important in my life, who I have not been able to text back for like a year. So, Colin, if you're watching this, I love you, man. And I'm sorry that I haven't been able to text you back in a year. And a lot of this was kind of prompted by a message that I received from, one of my many hardcore Castle Carousel fans a couple months back. I'll make sure to block out her name. This message here, I still haven't been able to answer her back, and I guess this video is kind of an answer back to that. A long-winded way of saying, no, it's not better. But it took me like 2 months of examining myself because of that message and realizing that things are not better. I'm sorry that this is a depressing holiday update. I don't think I ever said that, by the way, so I'm gonna... Hey, everyone. Happy Christmas. Merry holidays. What's the next move in my process? I don't know. I don't know what's next. I don't know if there is a next. With this, at least. I want there to be a next. I have, like I've said, folders that have probably 300 samples that I at least scoured and found good enough to be able to download, for the fact that, I might be able to make something out of this. So the desire is definitely still there. It's the limitation isn't here. The limitation is entirely within here. And that's something that I'm trying to work on to get over, because if I don't, then nothing ever happens. I know that in the past I've been pretty flighty about being able to respond back to messages and things like that, and I apologize, because you all are going out of your way to tell me how much you appreciate something that I brought into your lives, and I am forever indebted to you for it being so special that you felt the need to go out of your way to tell me about its importance to you. Thank you. I promise I'm going to do better about answering you back in a more timely fashion. Let's talk about live shows, Castle Carousel live shows. This is one of those that I have never done a live show. I have had many offers for live shows. I never check my DMs in time to be able to say yes to them. I find them like 1 or 2 weeks before the scheduled date, or after the event has already happened. That's on me. That's on me not checking my email. That's on me not checking my DMs. I want to change that, because I do want to start doing shows. I do want to be able to bring this to a live setting, because I guess I've had this long-term hopefulness that in doing that, it might bring some meaning back to the craft. It might get me interested in jumping back into it. But then I question myself as to if I would even be able to put together what I think is a good live set. I think I could. I don't just want to be a lazy DJ. I want it to actually be good. I want to be able to join my Tsundere fan club friends when they play shows and do get-togethers in Tokyo. I want to be able to do that stuff, and I'm trying to get better about that. So I guess I'm trying to leave in this on a, let's be hopeful that better things are coming in the future, just like I want to be hopeful for all of you that better things are coming down the pipeline. Future Funk saves the world. Future Funk will save the world in some way. I appreciate you all who have made it this far, and I hope that it doesn't take me several years to speak to you again, or to have something new to grace your ears with. Thanks, everyone. Special shout out to the Tsundere fan club. You guys have given me community and such incredible friendship. Even though I've never met any of you face to face, you guys are my closest group of friends. Forever grateful for that. Forever grateful for every single one of you. Special shout out to Base DMP for being an incredibly long-time supporter of everyone in TFC. Special shout out to all the fellow internet dads out there. Keep it real, guys.
Men only want one thing, and it's not money, it's not power, it's not love, it's
unmoderated internet access.
Finally, there is no better tea than Harney & Sons Hot Cinnamon Spice. if you really want to be my best friend, you will send me boxes of Harney and Sons hot cinnamon spice. If I get sent enough hot cinnamon spice, there will be tapes. That is a promise. And if you send me a container, you'll probably get a free tape when they're eventually done, before I die. That's the goal. That's the goal. Castle Carousel out.